Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another High Top Sports. My name is Stephen Hawley, and I'm here in the studio with my main man, Shelton, whose only ego is bigger than our largest gas prices right now. That is Shelton Walker. My gosh, Shelton. I hate you right now with your ego. This is ridiculous.
Steven Chad, what's up, big dog? How are you, man?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Good, man. Hey, typically we say, like, I haven't seen you in a while. Besides today, it's been a while. It has been a while.
It has been a minute. Yeah.
It's been a long time. It's good to see you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a jam-packed show for you today. We've got Gator talk per usual, okay? We've got football talk, NFL talk, quadruple the NFL talk. We've got Gator basketball per usual. It's going to be a good one, so stick around. Drop down some comments. Let's get the juices flowing. Before we get started, though, we actually have a sponsor for today's episode. Absolutely incredible. Really cool. Affordable Mortgage Partners. The guys are incredible. Chris Kilbane, very close friend of mine. The guy's the man. Give them a call if you're looking to buy a home or refinance. The guy can get you the greatest deal possible. Get you down into the low threes, high twos, depending on what you're working with. So give them a call. It'll be up there. The guys are absolutely phenomenal. It'll be up here the entire time. If you guys have any questions, drop them down below. But for now, we're going to get into it. We are going to get right into the Gator stuff. First thing first, the Gators. Right now, as of for tomorrow, they play Texas A&M in the SEC tournament. Right now, actually, I have it wrong here. They are considered to be the first four out right now, not in. I had a typo there. Right now, they're sitting on the bubble as first four out, which is unfortunate. We don't want to see that. Again, the Texas A&M game, it's the 8 and 9 seed. That's going to be a big game. In years past, it would be almost a shoo-in, but by us almost losing to Vanderbilt, I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I mean, looking at things right now, I mean, they had the win against Auburn, and that felt like that solidified things. And then, they had the Vanderbilt win, which felt a little slippery.
Well, there's a lot of slippery, Steve.
Yeah, well, if you're FSU, you've slipped your way right out. So, but I mean, talking about Florida, I mean, they've got a shot here. I feel like they should be in, but there's a lot of good teams out there. There's a lot of good teams, and they have to play well in the tournament. The NCAA tournament loves hot teams in the conference championships. Look, even if you don't play all the way through, or if you don't get deep, if you're playing hot, the NCAA loves that. So we'll see how it goes.
Right now, who they've got scheduled for the first four is Michigan and BYU is one of the games, Nicholas State and Bryant as another one, Alcorn State and Wright State, and then SMU and Rutgers. I believe we're fighting for that Michigan State and BYU. The other ones I'm pretty sure are locked in. Again, some things have to happen in front of us if we don't win. Right now, I think we control our destiny. But it sucks that we have to be in this predicament, but we'll see. Let's see. Muddy says half of Gator Nation wants them to lose to see White be fired. I'm not on that boat. I'm not on that train. I'm still on this. I'm leaning towards the White. I'm on the train still. I know he hasn't done what we want to see as Gator fans, and it's frustrating. And I know. I know. But I'm believing in the process. I think sometimes we move a little bit too quickly as Gator fans, and we need to trust the process a little bit. So I'm believing in them. I'm hoping they win. I would love to see the Gators play in the tournament. I think sometimes it just takes a little bit of a wind. We didn't look great against Kentucky, which that to me was going to be a sign of hey, where we're headed. It didn't give me any good hope, which hurts. So even Ryan is saying if we win, that should be good. It's not Michigan State. It's just Michigan. Ryan says it's Michigan State and BYU. And right now they are both ahead of us. Yes, it's Michigan and BYU.
Can we rule Michigan out just based off their head coach? I mean, the Juwan Howard rule at this point should just.
I love Juwan Howard. I want Michigan to make it. So the reason why I like Michigan when they make it is I'm a huge Fab Five fan. I love those guys. They to me were my childhood. I grew up watching I didn't watch them obviously play, but I watched 360 and I just fell in love with their whole thing.
They lost the game.
I know. They didn't get it done, but it's just a cool story that these five kids came together and dominated. It's just one of those things that I don't know. I just feel like we don't really have that nostalgia or that cool type of like team morale anymore because with all the NIL money flying around and all these things, we don't get that cool story. And to me, it was just they changed the game. They had the baggy pants. They kind of just set a wave. They set a trend. They were just a group of 5 dudes. They never really went out and did anything. Chris Webber was okay in the NBA. Jalen Rose wasn't that great. Juwan Howard kind of did his job. They all were just they were role players outside of that. But they came together for. Go ahead.
Juwan Howard has been an asshole ever since he got to Michigan. And look,
that's
I love
fair.
The fact that
That's fair.
The guy has a Michigan pride, and I get that. He played there. He's gone through the ringer. He's got an opportunity to be the coach, but he's just kind of been a dick.
He's got a little bit of an ego. He's got a little bit of an ego. I don't disagree.
And this most recent thing with the fight wasn't the first one. It was there were other like altercations with like players. I mean, he almost went Woody Hayes on a player from I want to say Iowa or Wisconsin a few years ago. Like, dude, settle down.
Sure.
I like the guy. I like the passion, but if you're going to be at the coach level, you're supposed to be the one who suppresses all this nonsense and not just lets it feed on itself.
For sure. Haley Birchwer, she says, I made a YouTube account for this. No pressure, though. Real quick, shout out to Haley and Connor. They recently got engaged, so shout out to those two. And thank you, Haley, for making a YouTube account just to come and watch us. We do appreciate it. We're getting a little spicy here in the comments, too. Ryan says, Muddy, I didn't realize you spoke for 50% of Gator Nation. Congratulations. And Muddy said, I don't, but if you read 247, YouTube, or any other Gator network, most of the time there's a lot of negativity. I agree. There's a ton of negativity. I don't see a lot of support. That doesn't mean that 50% of it, right? But if you, from any type of 247, Facebook comments on here, right? Gator comments, all that, there is a ton of hate towards Mike White and ready to see him go. So there's a lot of people that don't speak. That's another good point, that aren't just vocal about him staying. But right now, the noise is louder than ever to let him go. So I hope they win. I think they should win. Anytime there's a chance for Florida to move on, regardless of how far it can go, I'm always all in on it. So we'll see. Speaking of basketball, you said you wanted to go over some good news about on your side of this court.
Oh, Steve? Some amazing news. So look, I mean, FSU had no shot at the tournament. Well, I won't say no shot, but I mean they had to perform well in the ACC tournament today. Probably second, maybe third round. They had to get to like the semifinals, maybe even the finals, in order to show that they had the wherewithal. Maybe a bad, a couple of games, some injuries. My goodness. Round 1, Syracuse. They almost lapped us. I want to say the game was 94-40 something. It was hard to watch.
94?
90. Yeah. So Vegas had it as a
70, did they cover
70 game.
94?
They put 94 on us. Yes.
FSU,
that's a
FSU is. Did they get the death penalty and not tell anybody?
Well, yes. So FSU has always had a bunch of youth and like these 3 or 4 senior players. That's just kind of how they've always done, right? And the senior players move, and then it's just that's how the funnel has worked for FSU for a long time. And this year, all of the senior players got hurt, and it was just all freshmen. So it is the fact that we even
played basketball.
The ACC tournament, yeah. The fact that the ACC tournament even let us in, I'm thankful for them.
I think they all make it, Steve.
No. Yeah, I know they do. That's the point. It was horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah, I apologize for it. But look, Gators play tomorrow. I'm excited. Go Gators. Moving on. So we have some talk. AR-15. All right. Right now, he's not vetted to play in the spring game. I don't think he's scheduled or set to practice much in the spring games at all. Wow. Well, he had a little bit of a hammy last year that kind of came and went throughout the year, and then he had some knee surgery. It was considered minor knee surgery in December. That's why he missed the Gasparilla Bowl against UCF. So that's still kind of it's still something that's a factor right now. I also learned that he had some shoulder injuries back in high school. So it's starting to raise the question, is this going to be an issue moving forward? Is this going to open the door for the Jack Millers and possibly Emory Jones? Some people are saying Emory Jones won't even make it to the spring game. I don't know. I think this opens the door a little bit for those guys that come in. It's a whole new offense. It's a whole new team. It's a whole new coach, right? Anything can happen at this point. And Muddy said he'll be back in the summer. I'm aware of this, but again, getting those first reps, being the first, sometimes being first is better than than being the guy, but not playing, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys roll out. A big focus that I was looking into as well is the O-line this year, right? And they're with Rob Sale coming in from the Giants, Osiris Torrance. He's a transfer from Louisiana. He was the guy in Louisiana, right? He's coming in. I think that focus on that O-line is going to be huge for any quarterback that steps in. I think what's made it great for what's been done well for Bama is a solid O-line, right? They've had a solid O-line and a solid running back. They've never really had a killer quarterback. They've had a guy that's kind of come in, he's filled the role, and he's moved on. Outside of Mac Jones here recently, we've talked about this before, they haven't had anybody. So with this new change of focus, it kind of gives me that Bama vibe a little bit. It's like, look, let's put a wall in front of these kids and let them work. You put a wall up there, I think you can. It's, hey, who's going to fit now in my scheme a little bit better? I may not need the most athletic. I don't need the guy that's going to make the biggest plays, right? I don't need a Johnny Manziel. I need somebody who's going to go back there and fill the role, and that's where I think people are going to be surprised, and why I said that the dark night for me is Jack Miller, because he could come in and just be the guy quickly and fill into that role. And we've got some great running backs coming in. Montrell Johnson, he's set to get the start right now because, again, he's a transfer from Louisiana. Billy knows him. Lingard, and I can't think of the guy right now. Those guys are still young. But those are also studs. We've got 3 studs coming in, right? Not to mention Trevor Etienne. Did I say it right?
Etienne, yeah.
Yes.
Close enough, yeah.
Close enough.
We'll take it.
So with all those pieces in mind, I don't think we're all hyper-focused on the quarterback. But again, if these pieces fall into place like I think he's trying to, it may not be as heavy as a factor as we think.
So the one thing I will say with Napier's offense in the past is you typically have one predominant receiver and a stable of running backs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just he seems to be a guy who can find a way to keep a defense on their toes, not their heels, on their toes, because you want them coming forward so your quarterback can go over the top. Now, here's the thing with AR. AR starting to concern me because he's had as many injuries as he had as good games. And we're starting
that was good.
We're starting to get into that scenario of, look, there's been a lot of great athletes who can't just stay on the field. And look, it's not to their detriment. It's to them, they're hurt. And look, at this point, AR has had a shoulder. He's had a hammy against Bammy. He's had a knee. He's had, I think, an ankle. The guy has had as many injuries as he had flash games.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong. He has come in and shown
lightning
some
in a bottle
things.
Sure.
But if you can't keep him on the field,
what's the value there?
Well, yeah, especially if you're going to start to rely on him in your offensive scheme and if your offensive game plan. I don't know, right?
Sure.
Especially for the new coach coming in. I think this is where you and I went back to this a few weeks ago on who we think the starter is going to be, and AR was out there, of course. Emory Jones was out there. Miller was out there, and I got to be honest. If I'm a coach, do I want to build an entire offense around a guy who can't get past 3 games healthy? I'm scared. If I'm a new coach, I'm scared of that.
Sure.
So I don't know. Look, I love what Billy's doing. He's got a lot of options. I love what he's able to maybe put on the field, maybe like move the quarterbacks around a little bit and
Sure.
and put them in base formations. But I don't know if he's in a position right now, considering the talent he has and a little bit of the maybe
Sure.
the fear he has
So
of hanging the hat on one.
Muddy made a good point here, and we'll get to Daniel and Waves here in just a second. Muddy said at the end of the day, you want the accurate passer or the Cam Newton type of freak of nature with a shaky passing game. He's asking, do you want that? I think since our wide receiver room isn't that deep, and that's another great point, it's mainly going to be a running team. And again, that goes back to my point is you want a guy that's a game manager, right? Your Alex Smith type or your Jimmy Garoppolo who's going to come in and fill the role and fill the need. And again, I think him missing the spring game is going to be huge. I know people are kind of overlooking it, but
that's a lot of lost time.
It's huge.
That's practices. That's the game. People don't think about that. Like
we don't have much of and we're not going to have much of a preseason. We got Utah off the rip, followed by Kentucky. There isn't going to be these typical, just come over games that we can kind of get away with and just try some stuff out. We've got to be ready to rock and roll. And again, he's going to be ready for the summer. I totally get that, but to get a practice rep game in, it's going to be huge, man. Time flies. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's something to be weary about and to keep an eye on for sure.
And in a new offense. So not only is he like getting used to being back on the field,
sure,
he's getting used to being back on the field and reading things that he hasn't been
and
live.
He didn't really have the team last year. So he's just as new as anybody else. I don't feel like he has an edge like we've been talking about. Really quick. Wave says, "What's up, boys? How's y'all's night?" Hey, better not you here, Bubba. We doing great, man. Thank you for stopping by. Daniel Riviera, back at it again with the shit talking. We absolutely love it. He says Gators are going to lose to Kentucky. 4 losses: Utah, Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee. Let's easy on the Tennessee.
Tennessee.
You're getting a little shit too from Ryan. Oh my goodness. Napier is a good coach, but the SC is different and an animal, and I think the Gators are next Tennessee, to be honest. Wow. I think you're crazy, Daniel. I think you're absolutely out of your mind. Nobody will ever beat Tennessee but Tennessee. All right? You heard it. You heard it here first.
It's a Ryan Boyd sport. Thank you. I love that movie. It's Billy Madison.
Everyone is now dumber for have listened. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. Greg Schiff, Daniel, you're out of your mind. We're getting hot and heady now. Daniel, y'all one of the best shows on YouTube. Like and subscribe. I know they root for the wrong teams, but that's okay. We forgive them. Thank you, Daniel. We appreciate your love. We love the shit talk too, man. Thanks for stopping by, as always. And what even says 3 out of the first 4 games we ranked teams: Utah, Kentucky, and possibly UT. That's what I'm saying. We don't have time to play games, so if we can get a guy that can go in there, manage the game, and hey, we're going to build around a heavy running back team. You know what I mean? We're not going to have your big wide receivers. We got some slot guys. Control the game, and we'll build you as you. If you look at all the great Bama teams, that quarterback besides Bryce Young last year, who was obviously the Heisman, which the guy can throw. I'm not sold on Bryce, but the guy can throw a football. The guy's crazy. Mac Jones, his year was progressively got better. That's something that I attest to Saban, and I mean a lot of college teams do this, but Saban does a great job of that tiered system of using each week by week of getting better. And I think Florida hasn't been on that train in a while, so I don't know. It's
no one's been on that train in a while. No one.
Georgia was last year. So
well, they are now. They're on the train. Like the 2 trains are racing, and that's horrible for all of college football.
So something I wanted to go over too, because we talked about this O-line, and last year we had Damien Pierce, who's having a great, I wouldn't say great, but he's having a pretty solid combine right now and for the NFL draft. And again, it shows that did we miss out on some solid talent? Did we not utilize him properly? He wasn't even our number 1 rusher right back there. So did we miss out on this? Did we screw the pooch, as one would say? Because right now his rating for what he's going to accomplish thus far is out of a grade of an 8, he's at a 6.2, so 6.2 to 6.29, which basically means will eventually be an average starter, which isn't horrible, right? To kind of give you perspective, a grade 8 is the perfect prospect. 7.3 to 7.5 is all pro. 7 is Pro Bowl talent. 6.7 is a year one starter. So 6.5 to 6.6 is boomer bust potential. So it's going to be interesting to see how Damien does, again, for him to eventually be an average starter. I was trying to think of who that is right now in the league. Who would you consider to be an average starter that we can get an idea that Damien is chasing?
Gosh, who's the right tackle in Jacksonville right now? It's not Cam. It's the other side. I would go with maybe that or gracious.
It's about running back, Steve. Not right tackles. I'm trying to think of an average running back right now that I couldn't. They're all young, in my opinion. There really isn't one that to me is like that I can think off the top of my head.
We'll put him in James Robinson category. I mean, James Robinson's produced well. He just wasn't drafted highly.
Okay. I would almost put. I can't say that. I'm not even going to say I almost sound like an idiot. I don't know. I'm trying to think. All the guys right now to me that started were at one, like Melvin Gordon, right? He has become more of an average guy, but he was the guy. He probably was that 6.5 boomer bust potential, and he's more busted on his potential. Yeah, Melvin Gordon. Look, he said that's what Connor just said. Wow, that's pretty funny.
Pick any running back from Seattle. They never go out of their way to get any.
That's solid. That's solid.
So Rashard Penny, Damien Williams is out there. There's the backup for. What about Nick Chubb? Nick Chubb.
Stop it. Stop it. We're leaving it at Melvin. But it's good to see. I'm excited to see him.
James Williams from the Patriots. Okay. He's been consistent, but he's not the greatest running back of all time. He's just consistent.
I'm excited to see how he's doing. Let's go to the comments really quick. They're getting spicy here. Greg is saying Gators will beat Kentucky, Utah, and Tennessee by double digits each. Bold statement, Gregory. Daniel Riviera, listen, there's a reason why Florida hasn't played a non-conference game in years, because they always lose. Muddy Waters, spring practice starts next week on Tuesday, and can't wait to see the lineup. I am beyond excited. I feel like we've been a little bit of a dry spout talking about this Gator content because we haven't had much football love, but now I'm excited to see where we're looking. Hopefully we get some footage of these guys running around the field. That's going to be exciting. King Sola, welcome. The first 4 games are going to quickly let us know how the rest of the season will go. Question mark? Yeah, I think those first 4 games are going to be huge. Especially with Kentucky and Tennessee being up there. The Utah game isn't necessarily a win or lose type of game. It's going to be a good punch in the face, but I don't think the season's over if we lose that game. And I don't think it's a success if we win that game. To me, honestly, I think the way they need to go in that game is figure your shit out for Kentucky and Tennessee and don't lose those games. Utah can be forgotten very quickly if they can come out of that game learning something and playing it close.
So Muddy just nailed it. I think Muddy just nailed it.
You're ahead of me.
J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins is perfect. The perfect running back that came out with all the hoopla and like he was going to be the next man. And he's not bad, but he is your second round ish middle of the pack running back. Well done, Muddy.
Yes. Daniel said the Gators should go for JT. He's already moved on. We did talk about that a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't think he's a good one. He also said Juwan Taylor. Let's see. He said, did you see Damien Pierce and his combine doing the bench press? Yes, the guy was a beast. He did 21 reps. Cranked him out, bro.
I did see that. That was insane.
Cranked him out, bro. He's a short, stocky dude, bro. The guy is a beast for sure.
So MJD, will we go MJD on this guy?
Would you compare him to Maurice Jones-Drew?
I mean,
I don't know. No, that's a disrespectful.
Short,
I think he has.
Bowling ball.
He has the look.
Strong.
He has the look. I wouldn't compare him to success.
Well, hey, just for the record, MJD was a second-round draft pick.
So that was I was trying to figure out where is his draft stock? Like, where is he at? I'm thinking he's going to be a 3-4 round guy. If I had to guess.
I would think that. Yeah.
If I had to
I
guess.
think third, depending on need, I would say low to high three.
Look, to me, he kind of gave me like he's almost a little too tiny vibes, Damien Pierce. But honestly, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's not much bigger. And look at Jonathan Taylor absolutely destroying the NFL this past season. So I think if he can go late and get on a good solid team, I think he could do well. I think again, who you get drafted by is huge. That's what sucks, man. It's who are you gonna go work for?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if you get drafted by, I don't know, the Broncos, who have just historically run a zone
Honestly, though,
offensive team,
with that team coming up, we'll get into that in a minute.
Or San Francisco. If you go to San Francisco right now, hell, I could look like at least a 700-yard rusher.
Packers, go Pack, go. He wouldn't be a bad third string guy for those guys.
On the practice squad, I could do
that. All right, let's get into some juice here. All right, so some things went down this week. You guys have heard about it. Everyone's heard about it. We've got a few things we need to address. Russell Wilson was traded to the Denver Broncos. We made a video a few weeks, maybe a month or so ago. We made a little bold prediction. My prediction was that Aaron Rodgers would be traded to the Broncos. Now, he was not traded to the Broncos. Spoiler alert, if you guys didn't know. However, I don't think we were wrong.
Suns in 4.
Suns in 4. Here's why I don't think we were wrong on the outcome, but we weren't wrong with our suspicion and where we were kind of thinking. Aaron signed a 4-year, $200 million contract with Green Bay. I think it was on Monday, Tuesday, was it? I don't remember. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. He signed whatever day that it was. A good few hours later on the same day, Russell was traded to Denver, which tells me that Denver was waiting on what was Aaron going to do, which then led to Russell being traded. So I think the reason why we didn't think the Packers were going to be all in on Aaron, which obviously they showed that they were, which changed everything. My thought was they weren't going to be all in on him because he kind of fell fat again, but they were, so things changed. Which leads to the next conversation, which is Russell Wilson being traded to the Denver Broncos. A lot of people, including one of my fan favorites, Colin Cowherd, are saying this is the biggest trade in his lifetime that he's ever witnessed. So that got me thinking. That got me wanting to talk because I don't want to go over the same stuff, but we're going to go over it a little bit. And I thought about it. I'm like, well, when I first heard it, I was like, that sounds a little crazy to me. Like that just it doesn't seem right. Like how is that the biggest trade in NFL history? But then I got to thinking about it. I was like, honestly, NFL trades don't happen like that. Baseball, it happens. Basketball, it happens. But football, it doesn't really happen. It's usually pretty healthy trades, in my opinion.
Well, on this level, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different because the quarterback position it's always so highly regarded. And if a team feels like they are just a quarterback away from being successful, they are willing to give so much for a quarterback. And we've seen that time and time and time again. I'm going to throw this one out. Not the biggest trade ever. And I'll let you kind of touch on that one because we talked about it a little bit off cast. But I mean, let's talk just a little bit about the value system that comes with a quarterback trade. If you think that the only thing that's keeping you from being a championship team is a quarterback, people are willing to trade you ridiculous things. I want to throw this back to Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Jaguars had a quarterback named Rob Johnson. Rob Johnson came out, and don't get me wrong, this guy played well. He won us some games. He looked the part. He had the long hair. He looked like he was the guy for Florida, right? And going into the NFL draft, the Buffalo Bills decided they were in love with Rob Johnson. So our coach and VP, Coughlin, made a move. He traded Rob Johnson for a number 1 draft pick that resulted in the running back from the University of Florida, Fred Taylor, in the top 5. So, look, and he's been amazing. We love Fred. If you're not from here, Jacksonville loves Fred. He's a pride of the Jaguar. He will be a Hall of Famer. He's part of the radio show that does all the Jaguars, like the communications and so on and so forth. But look, if you see that a quarterback is your guy, you're willing to invest a ton.
Sure.
And I think at this point, Denver felt like they've got enough going on talent-wise that they're a quarterback away. I don't believe that to be the case. I think Denver's a long ways away from being a Super Bowl contender. But they found their guy, and they went after him, and they did whatever they could to get him in Russel Wilson as a Denver Bronco.
That was a great take on look, they've got the pieces, they're just needing that one little puzzle, in their opinion, that puzzle piece. And it reminds me of the trade last year for Matt Stafford and Jared Goff, right? The same type of situation. They had everything that they could possibly need, in their opinion, except a quarterback to get them to the Holy Grail. And it paid off. They looked like absolute heroes. They won the trade. So I looked it up. That is actually being considered the second biggest NFL trade of all time, the Matt Stafford and Jared Goff trade. Now, you can argue, I think right now the Rams obviously won that trade because they got what everybody's going for. They got their ring. I don't think Detroit lost that either. I mean, they got their worth. To me, I think Detroit's technically still kind of won because they got a young quarterback. I think Jared Goff's a good quarterback. I don't think he's horrible. I don't think he's great, but he's not horrible. And they got some draft pieces to build around them as well. So to me, I think that was a win-win for both on both team situations. And a lot of people are saying that the Seattle got robbed here. I don't think they did. They literally gave away a declining quarterback who's old. I don't know how, he's not. I mean, he's old. I'm not gonna say he's old. I don't know how much more time he has left in the league. He wasn't blowing my socks off last year. Now, he did win me a fantasy football championship, but that's besides the point. But I don't see him in that division, dude. Come on, man. I mean, he's not like he's just walking into just a cake division. And he was already in a hard division in Seattle. This division's not getting any easier. I mean, he didn't go from, a cake to a cakewalk. He just went from hell to hell. I don't know. So, and this goes to another point of how the Broncos kind of operate. Right, I compared them to the Miami Heat in our precast, where they don't really build they don't have this big dip and this big up climb. They kind of just float, and then they go all in on a guy to win. They did this with Peyton Manning, got the chip, and then they kind of declined for a little bit, and we're just kind of MIA, right? And then they kind of built some pieces around, never really made a big splash on their draft picks. Pick some pieces up, some running backs, again, not big names, slowly put the pieces together, and here we are again, where we're going to ship the pieces out that we built, we're going to bring in the guy that we think we need, we've got enough around it, and we're going to go all in. And that's kind of what Miami Heat does. Pat Riley is known for this. He never builds through the draft. He builds a base, builds a foundation, not like doesn't draft a guy and that's going to be the guy, right? He builds puzzle pieces and then goes and gets the guy. It's kind of what Broncos are doing right now.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, but you have Elway pulling the trigger right now, right? So Elway is the GM. I don't think that he doesn't get away from who you just referred to. I think he still keeps that ideology good. Now, keep in mind, I mean, the defense has lost Von Miller. They've lost some good talent.
Hold on. So Von says he's going to die at Denver. So I see Von coming back.
I won't doubt that, but you're also talking about a 38.
He's old.
30.
He's old.
Yeah, 39-year-old. So you have a 37-year-old Vaughn. You have a 36-year-old. Yeah, maybe. I'm just putting things in my perspective.
That's way too old.
Thanks. Sorry. And then, but you've got like a.
He's 32. I was like, he's not 37.
Is he really?
Yeah, that's old for football, though.
My life is disgusting. It's
that's old for football. You're old.
I am. But look, this could work out. I mean, they do have a decent running back crew there. I mean, they've had some guys that they can churn through. They got Judy as a
Jerry
wide
Jeudy,
receiver.
Cortland Sutton.
Cortland Sutton.
They traded Noah Fontenaway, who I thought was a great piece.
Yeah, I thought he was a really good tight end, but he didn't fit with Bridgewater when he was there. I mean, Bridgewater's never been a tight end guy.
Bridgewater can't catch a break, bro. The guy's got no love. I don't know. He goes to a team, he can't find a home anywhere. It's definitely unfortunate.
Sorry, Ryan. But he was before. Sorry. But so look, for the record, Teddy Bridgewater can catch a break. It's just not his leg. But let's be honest. I mean, the guy had one of the most horrific, like, non-contact injuries that we've ever seen ever. He came back years later. He's gone to the Saints. He's gone to the Panthers. And he was the starter in Denver. So he can catch a break. He can work his way through anything that he wants to work. So that being said, I think it's just maybe a Teddy Bridgewater issue is, I don't know, if he's not the fit, maybe he's just not the fit because he can't do the job, not because he hasn't been able to catch a break. The guy's leg, I think, almost came off of his body, and they were able to reattach it literally on the field.
That's what I mean by not being able to catch a break.
Well,
so
he caught a break. They put it back together.
So Muddy, you've got a good point here. So we're talking about the biggest trades in NFL history. So the Rams trade was number 2. This Russell Wilson is coming into number 3. And the number 1 trade that we discovered is the Cowboys got 5 first-rounder picks. No, it was 5 first-rounders. It was 6 total picks, and I think 5 players or something like that, right?
Yes.
It was insane for Herschel Walker, and I think 1 draft pick. So that is the biggest trade, and then it led from the Cowboys basically being the worst team in the NFL to now then to creating the dynasty as we know it for the 1990s Cowboys. They got Emmitt Smith out of it. So obviously that trade is much easier to say it is the greatest trade because we have history. We can see what it did. Right? If it didn't work out, we wouldn't be talking about it. So I think both of these trades, these recent ones with Matt Stafford and now Russell Wilson, the reason why I think they have potential to be the biggest one, but nothing right now because what constitutes to a big trade is the results from it.
Production, yeah. What comes out of it. And so, to your point, the Stafford trade looks genius for the Rams. But there's other ones like Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker was just the king of the NFL. His name recognition alone gave him the ability for Dallas to trade him to the Vikings. And in that trade, the draft picks that they were able to get were Emmitt Smith, Russell Maryland, defensive tackle, Alonzo Highsmith, and then Darren Woodson. Look, the only one I'll say that I don't know for sure is Alonzo Highsmith, but I'm pretty sure that there are 3 Hall of Famers in the fallout from that. Now, mind you, that Emmitt Smith got paired with Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin, along with, an offensive line that's been one of the greatest in all time. And
for a while now.
And so, look, the Herschel Walker versus the entire Dallas offense, I feel like is going to go down in history because Dallas won, 4 Super Bowls, 3 straight, and then 4 total.
So there's some talk going on about the draft picks here. So Muddy Waters is saying teams are going to get desperate, and this is actually a fun topic. So we'll dive into this a little off the rail here. Teams are going to get desperate and trade for Jacksonville for the number 1 pick to get their quarterback. Buccaneers, Saints, Steelers, Panthers, Eagles. They all really need a quarterback. Eagles got Jalen. I'm pretty sure they're sold in on Jalen. Saints, yes. Buccaneers. Bruce has come out and said he's all in on Kyle, so I don't believe on that. Indy just traded Carson Wentz today, which to me is an absolute. Let's talk about that a little bit for just a quick second. I don't know what the hate is with Wentz, but I'm putting to the Skins because they're always going to be the Redskins to me. Why Carson Wentz to the Redskins is such a hate thing. I don't know why everyone's trying to ship this guy around. I think he does a good job. I know he has a lot of injuries. He's got some problems. He obviously didn't get the job done to get into the playoffs. I think that was where they felt like he fell short of them. But the Skins are looking like a good team. They kind of gave me the Bronco vibes, right? A solid defense, a great new rookie running back, a pretty solid but a young wide receiver core, and their division is not as hard as the other two that we were talking about. The Cowboys are always 50-50. The Giants can't find their face from their ass, and the Eagles are still trying to figure their shit out. So to me, huge W from the Redskins here. I don't know if we're still calling that because I'm not calling the Commanders. What are they called? I don't even know what they're called right now.
They're called the Redskins. It's almost like the in baseball, the Cleveland
Galaxies.
They're the Indians. No,
God, I don't even know. I don't even know. That's it's so frustrating.
They're the Indians. It is what it is. But look, I mean, so who was the quarterback in Washington? Was it Heineke?
Heineke, I think. Yeah, young guy, and he did well, I thought. I mean, but he didn't really show. He was that kind of like the replacements. Who's the quarterback in the replacements? That's what he reminded me of. Those were the vibes that he gave me. You know what I mean? Like he was fun. We were excited. We loved the story. You're not the kid. I think this is great for Carson.
But because look at that division, right?
Hey,
so you have Jalen Hurts.
Hold on, real quick. Do you see my thing here? Carson went to the Skins. You see?
Oh, gosh.
Go ahead.
You have Jalen Hurts. You have Dak Prescott, right?
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, Daniel. And he's not the flashy athletic guy, but I mean he's basically a reincarnate of Eli. Right, so it's not like they don't have talent. Well, hold on, we'll see. Don't get me wrong, but he looks like Eli. He plays like Eli. He just kind of pedestrians you around. Just for the record, Eli's he won a Super Bowl with more. I want to say with more interceptions and touchdowns.
Won two.
Well, yeah, but he won one with more.
I hear he's kind of this dorky, just kind of like weird guy. I get it. I get the comparison. I get it.
Yeah. So, but look, I mean, that for Washington, that's a great pickup. You got you need a quarterback in that division just to keep up with the Joneses.
I think it's a great trade. I think Indy drops the ball here. To be honest with you, I think Indy has a great team as well. And I'm kind of surprised they don't feel that Carson's the guy. Look, I could be wrong, but I'm bought in on Carson. I'm usually pretty harsh when it comes to this kind of stuff, but I'm sold on. All right, we got to get into this. They're fighting like cats and dogs about this draft pick here. So really quick, okay. So there's a lot of people that are saying like we need a trade. The Jags need to make a trade for that first round draft pick to somebody who's looking for a quarterback, and hopefully we can get a few picks out of it. The problem is there isn't the flashy guy, and this is what Ryan keeps kind of roasting everybody for.
There's no Trevor Lawrence up there. There's no guy
that
has the name recognition.
So that's what I want to. That's okay. I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm going to cut you off, but that's what I want to get into. So in years past, there hasn't been great success when the quarterback has been the flashy name. There hasn't. Trevor hasn't shown out yet, so we can't count Trevor. Trevor's too soon. The year of the quarterback last year was a good year, and the year before that when we had it was Jared Goff, it was Wentz, we had the Rosens of the group. Josh Allen, I believe, was in that group as well. Josh Allen is starting to kind of come out of his shell a little bit. I want to say Carson Wentz. Yeah, Carson Wentz.
Josh Allen was really bad his rookie year.
Carson Wentz was the number one pick, right? That year, I believe. Was it?
No. Here, I'll look it up.
Okay, look it up. But so that was the year of the quarterback where they were flash. I'm pretty sure he was like out of South Dakota State. I'm pretty sure he was the guy, and we couldn't figure out why. I want to say I'm right on that one. But here's some names though. Last year too was a big year. We had the Zach Wilsons. There was Trevor Lawrence. The year before that was Joey Burrow, which was a big year. So I would agree. Yes, the last few years have been huge for quarterback names where we're like, yo, these are going to be the guy. But the guys coming out this year aren't any slouches. We got Sam Howell out of North Carolina, who I think is actually a pretty solid quarterback. You've got Matt Corral out of Mississippi, who isn't horrible. But Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh. The guy's no slouch, right?
He's got tiny hands.
But he broke Dan Marino and Deshaun Watson ACC record for most passing touchdowns in a season, 42, while cutting down on the interceptions. So they're not the big names, like I said, but they're not slouches. Do I think somebody's going to trade up to get the first pick? Hell to the no. There ain't a chance in hell that somebody does that. I think our best option is going to be, I don't think we get any, the way this is going to work is that we're going to have to trade this pick for some later picks in later years. Nobody's going to trade their, switch their 14th or 15th pick to go to number 1. Now, somebody who has like the 8th or 9th pick this year might trade their first rounds next year and a second round next year. I see that happening. Right. But do we want to do that? Is it worth that? Unfortunately, there isn't enough name recognition. There isn't enough brand value this year, in my opinion, right? To sell that first round draft pick.
Well, especially for Jacksonville, I just don't see how any of it fits, right? So you have 2 top flight tackles, right?
Yep.
So you've got Evan Neal and there's another one. Now you do have this kid out of Michigan, and that's a defensive end who looks like a beast. I could kind of potentially see that, but I just don't know if especially if you're teaming him up with gosh, it just, the linebacker core, and then the other defensive ends. I don't know. I still just don't see any talent that should be the number 1 draft pick. Now for Jacksonville, you got a lot of holes to fill. I would back that thing down. There's just maybe even drop it to 3 or 4 and see what you can come up with.
It's just like we said, there isn't value.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and I don't see the need.
It's the typical Jag luck.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, last year we had it, and we got Trevor, and it is what it is. But just for the record, the number 1 pick was Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Bosa.
Jared Goff, that's right.
Yeah, Elliott, Ramsey. Those are the top 5.
That's right. Dang it. I'm disappointed in myself. I do remember now Goff. Goff was like the Trevor Lawrence where he was like the shoe-in, and it was that second pick that was like, hey, where are the Eagles going to go? And I think that's what kind of threw me off is that the first pick was such a shoe-in that we didn't even talk about it. And maybe I think that's what threw me off.
Well, I think it's because I want to say Wentz was like from like North Dakota, and like Goff was from like Cal. Like, so they just had like a different dynamic of the teams that they've played. So everybody's like, well, Goff has played teams. I wouldn't call anybody in the Pac-12 like a defense that's worthwhile. Sure. So Wentz won a ton of games, but he played against, North Dakota and
that's kind of where these quarterbacks this year are coming in, right? I think people are a little bit more of a shy because of what's going on. And what sucks is that people are like, oh, they're going to trade up for this quarterback. Well, if you look at the teams in the top 10, like Detroit, right now they have their guy. Like those guys, they in a sense they have their guy. So I don't see them trading up. It's a shitty situation for the Jaguars, to be honest with you. Moving on, our boy Calvin Ridley here. Everyone's heard about it, but we're gonna do a little what if situation because there's a lot to unravel here, and we want to get into it. So Pete Rose obviously did a little gambling in his time and was banned from baseball, MLB. Just completely just
for fast. So we used to do this as a regular segment. This used to be part of our normal thing, and we've kind of gotten away from it. So we're going to get back into this thing that we call What If Wednesday. We're streaming on Wednesday, so let's talk about it. What if Wednesday? And then yes, Calvin Ridley.
What if this happened in the Pete Rose era? Because right now, look, he's getting a year of suspension, and there's 2 sides. Well, kind of one side. There's a lot of people that are supporting Calvin in this, which to me is a little strange. He's getting a lot of like, hey, this is ridiculous. This is crazy. How is he getting a year? It's a simple measly $1,500. It's a bet. Blah 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 blah. Yes, I see what you're saying. The other part of it though is there's rules in place for a reason. You broke the rules.
Look, You broke the rules. Look, and not only did you break the rules, you broke a rule that there's already an iconic stamp of someone who did this before in the way that sports has treated them, like the way that the sports world has treated this person who made this mistake. There's no reason in the world, as a professional athlete, you should dare put your toe in this water. The reason that they made this guy such an example is so that no one does it again.
Speaking of Pete Rose,
we are. Yes, speaking of Pete Rose.
I think Pete Rose, obviously, essentially got a death penalty in what he did. I think it was obviously a little bit bigger than $1,500. Which is only what we're seeing now for Calvin Ridley. But there's two parts to this. Number one, rules are rules. You broke the rules. So everyone's like pissed about him getting in the season a week. Even Muddy said it's bogus. I don't think it's bogus. Okay, here's why. Okay, hold on. Here's why I do think it's bogus. Because this guy's getting a year suspension while we've got people that are beating women. We got Sean Payton doing bounties, right, that are getting the same timeline. So if you look at it from that perspective, yeah, I totally agree with you. It's complete bogus. But I don't think the suspension. I think the bogus part is how we're handling the other situations, the wife beatings, the bounties. Those are right. That's where the issue is, right? We're comparing the same thing where it's we've got murder and car theft, and we're given the same sentence. That's kind of where the issue lies. I don't think the issue lies with what he got, but it looks like an issue because the issue is actually over here. It's not with what Calvin Ridley did. It doesn't matter if it's $1, $2, $3. And the other part of it is, hold on. No betting doesn't matter if it's okay. Go ahead.
To your point, I mean, look. Let's just break this thing down, and because a lot of people, and you and I have talked about it, a lot of people are saying, well, all he did was bet on his team. He bet on his team.
No, he did 8-game parlays. It wasn't just his team. His team was always part of the parlays, but it wasn't just his team.
So this in the reason why this matters for folks who aren't like super involved in sports, and I think a lot of these guys are, but I guess the point and the reason why this is such a bad thing is because even if you bet on your team and you bet on your team to win, it doesn't mean that you bet on your team to cover. Right? I'm not a gambling guy, but if the Falcons are favored by 21 and you are up by 20 and Calvin Ridley has money on his own team to win, but if I catch this touchdown pass, I'm gonna lose. Right? I've gone with the under or the over. There's too much.
Well, if you bet on the under, then you would want to drop the ball.
So you drop the ball. Or, for example, if you have friendships outside of the game itself and you tell your buddy, hey, I've got 50 grand running on this. Maybe we just don't let ourselves go over or under a certain amount. Like it disrupts the concept of a player who's involved in the game to have an immediate impact on the actual outcome itself. You can't do it. In stock world, that's called insider trading. And you go to jail for it. You go to jail for it. Martha Stewart's gone to jail for it. I mean, I could go down a list. I'm not going to do it. But Martha Stewart's the one everybody knows, right? Old girl just got out of jail about 5 or 6 years ago. But you have to understand that once you are in an industry, you cannot bet and leverage against your own self. If you're the CEO of a company, you can't hedge your own bets against your own company. It's illegal. It's the difference. It's against the law in most places. In sports, it is against the most common and most understood law. You do not gamble on sports if you are an athlete. Dennis Rodman loved Vegas. I remember I read his books. I watched him when he was famous. The dude lived in Vegas. He loved it. But you know what he did? He played blackjack. He played craps. He played all
Michael
kinds
Jordan's
of
a big
things.
gambler. Michael Jordan's a big
He
gambler.
is, but you know what he never did? Never once. Even when things got a little dicey.
You don't know. You don't know.
Well, hold on. But never was he dumb enough to do it to the point where it's going to show up in the NFL or the NBA.
Let me go for a sec. So I was kind of heavy against. I always there's a lot of people saying like who cares if he bets on his team, and I've always been kind of that like who gives a shit. The Pete Rose thing to me was always a big thing. Pete Rose to me, I guess you can make the same argument about covering. Again, I never thought about it from a covering perspective, right? Because if you're Pete Rose and again you're picking your team to win by the over, right? By 2 or whatever,
or the under,
or you cover. Yeah, you take your team, but you take the under. And
you maybe missed your slide to home. Oh, I missed it by 3 feet.
Yeah, like you get yourself out on purpose.
Why are you bunting with 1 out and nobody on?
Yeah, so that part I understand. I don't know, man. It sucks because again, I think it's a little bit. I lost my train of thought there. It's a little frustrating because again, I get where everyone's coming from. I don't disagree with the suspension because right now there is a rule, right? The rule is like, hey, you can't do this. So regardless whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, that doesn't matter. So to me, I'm completely okay with the suspension. First of all, second of all, allowing gambling or not gambling, you made some solid points on the covering the point situation. I've always been like, look, if you just make the bet like, hey, I'm picking us to win, I don't see an issue with that at all. At all. If you simply just keep it to, hey, I'm picking these guys to win, I don't really feel like it's insider trading. I mean, Vegas, if anybody has insider trading, right? I mean, they know these teams inside and out. That's why they have the covers, the spreads. They know what they're doing. They already have the insider trading to an extent. So I think there's some kind of already a pulse on it. If Vegas was spot on, they would never lose, and they do lose. So I don't know. It's one person.
But think about it. Think about a Vegas shark. Think about a Vegas guy who works for a casino, who's already seen that a player is willing to gamble on his own team just to win, win or lose, right? And I'm always all in. Right? As a player, I'm always all in. You don't think that guy can get in his ear? Hey, you've been gambling here for a minute on winning. What if we did it this way? That's the reason that you just can't. You can't.
I hear you.
That it has to be two separate things.
I agree.
The players in the league, and then the betting has to stay away from each other, or else what will happen is what happened in the NBA when that referee, I want to say Donahue, that caused a huge amount of that bust had veins.
That was huge.
Multiple
here's
organizations. It's just you just can't do it. Keep it away. Let them be separate. You can't do it.
There's two parts that are annoying me on this. Why it's such a big conversation is kind of frustrating me. One, because it is only $1,500, right? So like it doesn't really matter. He broke the rules. Regardless if you agree or disagree with the rules are rules, right? I used to work at Publix. You couldn't have a beard. Simple as that. If you don't like it, fucking go home. The door's that way. Right, so I hated it. I could not stand it. I wanted a beard, couldn't have one. Just make your choice, Sheldon. Either you stay or go. Right, and I think these players get too much of an ego, anyways, as it is. So I'm frustrated with that we're talking about it like it's wrong that he got the suspension. No, it's not. It's fine. Number two, I think that there should. You made some good points why they shouldn't bet, and I'm gonna move on from that. The third part, what's frustrating me is this guy quit halfway through the season because of mental health issues. Right, that was his reason for quitting, and now this comes out, and then when he tweeted, he goes, "Oh, it's only a year. I'll be back. Like I don't care that it's just a year." Well, you quit halfway through the season last year, so I don't understand like why now we feel sorry for you because you were having mental stuff, but clearly you weren't. You were out here gambling, partying. Like how serious was it? You know what I mean? Like. Did you? I don't know. Like you just don't really care is what it tells me. You got paid millions. I'm gonna go hang out and chill. Like I don't know. It's not a good look. That to me should be where the criticism's coming from. It shouldn't be towards the NFL. It shouldn't be questioning the betting. It should be questioning this guy's commitment to the game. If I'm Falcons, I'm releasing his ass.
I'm done with him. Look. Especially These guys they have guaranteed money. Now I know that they put their bodies on the line and they risk in their careers only have a certain lifetime. That's only if you're playing. You abandoned your team. And then you spent your time in Vegas, and then you're going to say that it was because of mental health. There's no mental health issues.
And now you're hurting your team.
Play football.
You're hurting your team for another year. That's counting on you. You're holding not holding a roster spot, but
I think the Falcons under the current rules of his contract should be able to just outright cut him. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't want the fucking guy back.
No, I think that's where the conversation should be. To be honest with you, that's what's got me fired
where was
up.
Calvin Ridley when Henry Ruggs needed a designated driver?
Yeah, so you weren't doing anything. I don't know. That's
you were just hanging out.
That's got me more fired up than any of this stuff. The other stuff I could get two shits about. I mean, like, look, you broke a rule. It is what it is. I'm cool with this.
But that's the thing. Look, Pete Rose
got fucked. I think that one was a little aggressive, but
that was crazy. But Calvin Ridley is going to get suspended for a year. After a year, people's attention spans are so short that even if he wants to come back, they'll be like, oh, yeah, everything's fine. Pete Rose, nah, man, 40 years you're out of the league. 40 years you're gone. You still can't get in. Like, it's ridiculous, because back then when Pete Rose did what he did, people had actual morals and standards, and they said, no, this was wrong. And Pete Rose, don't get me wrong, handled the situation poorly. He acted like a dick. He was an asshole to Paul Giamatti, and they fought. So Giamatti was like, all right, well, you're out. You will never get back in. Calvin Ridley will just have an opportunity after he gets in with his mental health break. He'll just get back in. And
I would be surprised if Calvin Ridley gets sponsored by DraftKings for this next year and just makes a killing. If he was smart, he would. Daniel says the problem in this, I totally agree with him. The problem with the NFL players is they get a big head and they think they can do whatever they want. Antonio Brown was the start of it. It's not going to get any better.
I think Antonio Brown is a good example of how for the NFL to deal with the person, right? I mean, Pittsburgh all but got rid of him. They're like, all right, fine. If you're insisting upon a transfer, go transfer or look for a trade. And then he went and he was a free agent. He went somewhere, and then it didn't work out there either. And then, he froze his feet off, and he went to Tampa because he got the blessing of the only quarterback in the NFL that could have possibly got him on a roster. He got a Super Bowl ring. He acted like an asshole again, and even Tom's like. So,
I think we're headed down this path. I mean, with the NIL, with social media, I think we were on the wrong. Unfortunately, on a dark road for a little while of the egos. I mean, we see it in the MLB right now, with money just taking over. It's unfortunate. I got something. Ryan said something here. I think Daniel and Ryan over here, they're having a pissing contest for the last 20 minutes. It's been distracting the hell out of me. It's actually a really good idea. Got me. Well,
they got along so well last week, so I
don't think they did. Ryan says he agrees with Daniel. I think this podcast should have a Georgia representative, and you know what? It wouldn't be a horrible idea. We got Gators. We got FSU. We add a dog into the mix, and maybe a Miami guy. I don't know. It's not crazy, man. Maybe we add a little spice, especially when we get closer to the season, right? We've got 3 different perspectives, 3 bullet points of who's coming where to help with the shit talk. Again, when you're a Florida fan or a Florida State fan, right, as much as you hate the other team, you still want to know what's going on. We can even have a Bama representative, but nobody wants that guy in here, right? Because he's just going to be an asshole. Look, they finally said I agree. But I think though it's
Daniel. Thank you. That's a first.
I think it's not a bad idea. I'm not fucking around. I think to have this thing be a trifecta might be a good move. So maybe we're hiring. Maybe we put out a little application to see who can come live with us every Wednesday at 8:35. Be a consistent catapult. Maybe that's what we're missing to take the next step. We get some dog fans in here. Look, I can handle dog fans. I hate FSU fans, but I can take a dog any day of the week. And then the SEC can just tag team on Steve like we did his mom last night. I think that would be a great move. for the look. It's something to consider. I like the ideas, gentlemen. Thank you for talking. That's good stuff there.
Yeah, well, hey, we'll put that thing out there. We'll put a little poll down at the bottom, and after the
I will.
the cast is
You
over.
know what? I will put out a poll on, hey, should we add a Georgia fan to the podcast? I 100% will do that.
Hold on. We have to put it out there. Do we add a Georgia fan? Do we add a Miami fan? Do we add
Okay.
an LSU fan?
Uh-uh.
Or
Bama. I'll put
or,
Bama. I'll put Bama. I'm not putting LSU. They can kick rocks.
or other. So just
Okay.
three in another. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
Daniel's saying call on the show once a month. Maybe, yeah, that's true. Maybe just twice a month. That's a good point too, Daniel. That's not a bad point. We'll put it out there. We'll see. I'll create a thing, and we'll keep this going. Look, next week, guys, is going to be March Madness Wednesday. I hope you guys love March Madness. We do here. We're gonna try to do something creative here, make this fun, make you guys involved if we can. We're on the road to 1,000. We might even do a giveaway at 1,000. I'm not sure yet. Steve and I are gonna talk about it. We're gonna figure it out, see what's going on, what we can do. We need to get it to 1,000. That is the milestone we have been chasing. I wanted to get there by February.
This is what we do. Muddy, you bring your buddies. Daniel, you bring your buddies. Bork, you don't have any friends. Here's what we do. We bring these guys. Maybe we do a pre-pick matchup. We pick some teams. We put them in quads, and then each team picks the quad between themselves. Let's just see. I don't know.
You're throwing darts. I love March Madness.
Spitballing.
We've got to figure something out. I want it to be good. I don't want to just. It might just be us just picking teams, but that's just sometimes what it is. It's going to be exciting. We also have some stuff in the works. We're working on getting some merchandise, some hats, some T-shirts for you guys. My battery died, so I'm no longer here. Steve, it's the Steve Show. I'm leaving.
Man. My goodness! Look, nobody needs Shelton here in the first place. I mean, like I've been running this thing the entire time. Look, we're not going to get any ride out music. We're not going to get any of the good stuff.
The music's here. Music's here. I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So look, guys, we appreciate you guys being here. We're gonna chime back in Wednesday. We're gonna do a little NCAA March Madness bracket talk. My goodness, it's great to see everybody again. Let's get back into the roll. Like, subscribe.
There it is.
Back, and then let's go.
Hey, Muddy said he'll bribe his wife on a date to subscribe. I'll take it, Muddy. Also, too, thank you again to our sponsors.
Dylon. That's the 4 hottest. Oh, the 5 hottest
rappers. Thank you again to our sponsors today, Affordable Mortgage Partners. Call my man Chris Calbane. Tell him High Top sent you. He'll get you a great rate on your if you're buying a new home or on your mortgage. Give him a call today. The guy's awesome. Great foundation. We love that guy out there. Thank you guys for a great show. Steve, you look gorgeous. Way to hold it down. I love the little lady in the back. She looks gorgeous. She looks better than you.
That's my waitress. I've had her since college, baby.
All right, guys. Be back next Wednesday, 8:35. We go live. I'm Sheldon.
Good to see y'all again. I'm Holly.
Boogity boogity.